Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight.
The Prime Minister and members of Cabinet tour the Pointe development.
Representatives from the IDB discuss millions lent to the Bahamas.
Minister of Agriculture responds to a viral video purporting to show farmers being stood up by Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis.
Still to come, a former Senate president calls on the Speaker to apologize to the former chief clerk or resign.
Our news is brought to you by Alive, the nation's newest and best LTE network.
Good to be alive.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Kyle Joachim. Topping news tonight, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis and members of his cabinet got a first-hand look at the $200 million Pointe development this morning. While the project has had its fair share of controversy, Dr. Minnis says not only is he pleased with its progress, he is confident that despite recent criticism, there are sufficient Bahamians being hired for the project. Jasmine Brown reports.
Government officials today touted the potential of the massive project as they insisted once completed, it will create hundreds of permanent jobs. Like many other major hotel projects, this development has not escaped controversy. One of the biggest concerns has centered around foreign labor, a matter the Prime Minister addressed moments after completing the tour.
For the labor component, we've had discussion with that, and we came to an agreement that the labor component can be no less than 70% Bahamian, 30% foreign nationals, and they've stuck to that.
In February 2017, the former Christie administration tabled the heads of agreement for the $200 million Pointe development in the House of Assembly, revealing it would be granting between 400 and 500 work permits for foreign labor and requiring 70% Bahamian labor on the project. The issuance of work permits and the number of foreign workers who have already worked on phase 1 of the Pointe development continue to be a bone of contention as questions have been raised over the ratio of foreign to Bahamian labor. But according to Daniel Liu, president of the Pointe, since work began on the project, 312 locals have worked at the Pointe and $25 million has been injected into the economy. He adds that it is estimated that a further $100 million will be spent before the project is completed. Once completed, he says the project will create 500 permanent jobs.
We are working tirelessly to get everything done.
Today's tour came weeks after it was revealed that the Pointe development will be flagged by the Margaritaville brand, inspired by singer Jimmy Buffett. Tourism Minister Dionisio de Aguilar, who was also on the tour, says the project is just what's needed to bring life to the downtown area.
I'm very excited that this new, fresh project is coming to Bay Street and beginning the long journey of the revitalization of Bay Street. It's 150 new hotel rooms under the well-known brand of Margaritaville. Also, it's 150 condos.
Now, according to Liu, the hotel will have its grand opening in April 2020. Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Former Senate President Lady Sharon Wilson lashing House Speaker Housen Moultrie for what she called his abusive attack on former Chief Clerk Maurice Tynes. She said if Moultrie doesn't apologize, it shows he isn't fit for the chair. TOOTE reports.
Former Senate President Lady Sharon Wilson says House Speaker Housen Moultrie's use of Parliament to launch a personal attack on a private citizen is abusive and high-handed. This after Moultrie slammed former Chief Clerk Maurice Tynes after he expressed concern over the Speaker's decision to suspend Anglister MP Glenys Hannah Martin. Well, Wilson said today Moultrie needs to apologize to Tynes or resign.
Those remarks were mean-spirited. They were not only an attack on Mr. Tynes, but an attack on the democracy of this country. It certainly is, they were demeaning.
In a 40-minute rant from the chair, the House Speaker labeled Tynes an apparently troubled man who needs to rest in peace after executing what Moultrie felt was a politically motivated broadside attack against him. This after Tynes said he was disturbed and alarmed by Moutrie's decision to name Hannah Martin, a decision Tynes called Trump-like.
I think he ought to apologize to Mr. Tynes. He really ought to apologize to Mr. Tynes. Having said what he said, he certainly had some time to reflect upon that. And if he doesn't apologize, then we must assume that there's no contrition, that is in fact what he represents, and then I would have to say he's really not fit for the chair.
Wilson says the fact that Moultrie would use the office of the Speaker to launch an attack on a former civil servant who has given sterling service to the country is gravely unfortunate.
The Speaker has really done damage to our democracy. We have to be able to be to a place in our civil society where people can speak out, where we can have constructive civil discourse without fear of being attacked in such a vile and vicious manner.
Wilson said during her time as Senate President, she found the former chief clerk to be a professional who gave guidance and assistance to parliamentarians on both sides of the political divide for decades.
Someone who served in the role of chief clerk in our parliament for 24 years, who served as a civil servant for 49 years, who gave stellar service to our Commonwealth.
Wilson concluded that for the sake of history, no attack on Tynes should seek to diminish the service he has given to the country and the Commonwealth. Reporting for our News, I'm VAUGHNIQUE, TOOTE.
Well, leader of government business in the House of Assembly, Reverend Wells, is slamming critics who claim the ongoing drama in the lower chamber has been a waste of time. Wells says despite what some may think, it's a national issue that needs to be tackled head on.
I think any issue that raises to a national level within the confines of the House of Assembly becomes the people's business as to how we deal with it, especially in regards to rules and the way one conduct oneself in the precincts of the House, and how you respect authority. I think that's a national issue. And it goes to many, many different aspects of our society.
The House met on Monday and suspended after only 9 minutes. It followed last week's drama that resulted in every single member of the opposition being suspended. The opposition now intends to file a motion of no confidence against the Speaker. Dr. Minnis predicted a positive outcome when members of Parliament meet tomorrow morning.
I would give you great news. That's all I would say.
The Bahamas Bar Association has expressed its deep-seated concern and alarm over the Prime Minister's failure to advise on the appointment of a substantive Chief Justice. In a strongly worded letter to Attorney General Carl Bethel, Bar Association President Khalil Parker said it would seem the Prime Minister has not yet been advised to recommend a suitable candidate to the Governor General after consultation with the opposition leader for an appointment as Chief Justice. Parker's letter, dated February 13, 2018, continues, I have also not seen any invitations for applications or advertisements that would suggest the requisite transparent and open selection process, which may have explained the delay. Parker noted that Acting Chief Justice Stephen Isaacs is more than qualified for the position, but insisted the status quo is wholly unacceptable and raises questions about the independence of the judiciary. Well, in light of burning issues at the New Providence landfill, which has seen its fair share of fires, the Inter-American Development Bank is weighing in on recent efforts to find a solution to the problem. Georgia Bain tells us more.
Now, while the country is still plagued with issues from the New Providence landfill, our news team sat down with representatives from the IDB who loaned the country more than $20 million almost 20 years ago to fix the problem, to get their take on how the money was spent.
According to Inter-American Development Bank representative Florencia Adamo Hurt, the public sector investment loan of $23.5 million was finalized in October of 1999. The 5-year execution period was extended to allow the Free National Movement government more time to start the process of remediation at the New Providence landfill because the results were not met after the first 5 years. Hurt says while some of the goals were achieved, some were not.
If I think back and reflect on the knowledge I have about how the project was designed, how the project was implemented, what was accomplished and what wasn't, I do believe that some change was started with that project. I also believe that once the implementation period ended and the activities continued at the landfill, perhaps some room for improvement there.
Despite multi-million-dollar efforts to address long-standing issues at the landfill, problems persist. Just this month, fire services battled a blaze at the dump, which left nearby communities blanketed in smoke for days. The problem escalated last year when the fire at the New Providence landfill forced residents of neighboring Jubilee Gardens to evacuate. More than 100 of those residents are now taking legal action. While she admits that there is room for improvement, Hurt says she chooses to see the glass half full.
In the sense that almost 20 years ago, the Bahamian people and the Bahamian government started a process of change vis-a-vis waste management. And I see today, based on the developments in the country, an opportunity to perhaps continue that process of change with renewed energy, with renewed commitment, with renewed ownership by everyone.
Environment Minister Romuald Ferreira has said the government is closer than ever to finding a solution to the dump problems, revealing that 7 interested companies have been shortlisted for the remediation and management of the landfill. While the IDB representative agrees that a public-private partnership is key.
The idea that is being pondered at the moment, based on the public information that we all have, that we read in the papers, is an idea of a public-private collaboration. And we do believe that that is key for any project of any sizable amount. It is impossible for any government, regardless of their fiscal health, to address every challenge with fiscal resources only. So the public-private collaboration in terms of financing, in terms of know-how, again, in terms of ownership, it's key. So we hope that in this process that we see as a continuation of what started back then.
Reporting for R News, I'm Georgia Bain.
Just a day after police shot and killed a man armed with a knife, concern is growing over the use of excessive force by police officers. Tonight, the Christian Council president, while not condemning officers, is calling on them to be mindful of their actions.
We ought to be minded that if lethal force is not necessary, which every officer is mindful of, that reports will have to be done.
Police have shot and killed 6 men so far this year, including 1 man near a school Monday morning. According to police, they had seen him a week earlier and he reportedly shot at them, dropped the weapon, and ran. And on Monday, when officers shot and killed him, according to Assistant Commissioner of Police Clayton Fernander, the man had a knife. Since then, social media and radio talk shows have been abuzz with people questioning if police really had to shoot to kill. Taking a look back, during the first 6 months of 2012, there were 5 police-involved killings. We've had 6 over the past 30 days. For the Christian Council president, he understands officers' plight, as he was once one of them.
I know the training, and I know how officers are trained, and when they are attacked, the law gives them leeway to subdue and protect themselves. All I can ask is that those that are on the front line, that they continue to do their job to the best of their ability, protecting state and themselves.
So when it comes to officers protecting themselves, exactly what is in the law and how far can officers go? Let's take a closer look at the Penal Code. Section 103, subsection 1 states that any person may, with or without warrant or other legal process, arrest and detain another person who has committed a felony, and may, if the person having notice or believing that he is accused of a felony, avoids arrest by resistance or flight or escapes or endeavors to escape from custody, use any force which is necessary for his arrest, detention, or recapture, and may kill him if he cannot by any means otherwise be arrested, detained, or retaken. And subsection 2 offers more clarification, stating, whoever is duly authorized by warrant or other legal process to arrest or detain a person for felony may, if that person has notice or believes that a warrant or other legal process is enforced against him, justify any force which is necessary for his arrest, detention, or recapture, and may kill him if he cannot by any means otherwise be arrested, although in fact the felony has not been committed by the other person, or although in fact no felony has been committed. The last time a police killing was deemed unlawful was in 2013, after 20-year-old Aaron Roll died at the Southern Police Station.
There can be serious consequences for a police officer if the killing is deemed unnecessary.
Minister of Agriculture Renwood Wells is slamming a group of farmers who say they were stood up by Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis. For more on this story, here's Jared Higgs.
Garbage! 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 This cell phone video shows the moments farmers say they were stood up by Dr. Hubert Minnis at the office of the Prime Minister. A voice in the video says it's a shame that the Prime Minister would exit his office through the back door before his official vehicle is seen driving past the group moments later. Minister of Agriculture Renwood Wells is now slamming those farmers, saying they've gotten everything they've asked for.
I was extremely disappointed in the way that social media video went out and the reaction of the individual, because it was completely uncalled for in an environment where there's a conversation that has been had, that is going on.
Wells, who says he has an open-door policy, listed several initiatives and incentives enjoyed by farmers, including a guaranteed purchase of $9,000 worth of their crops by the Bahamas government and a ready supply of fertilizer and other resources for their farms. However, Wells says a request for $60 million to assist in revitalizing farms damaged by hurricanes is unreasonable.
The sum that the farmers are asking for is astronomical. Some $60 million.
What do they want this money for?
They want it to reestablish their farms. They said there was saltwater intrusion into their farms here in Nassau. We have not assessed that the farming community has experienced that kind of damage.
The Agriculture Minister added that another program provides guaranteed sales for its participants.
In the Associate Farmers Program, we just don't buy $9,000. We buy every piece of your crop. And we guarantee to try and get it sold for you. That's what we're doing for the farmers. So what's the complaint? All the farmers need to do is get out there and work. Now they may be offended by that. But if government is offering you the land, the seed, the feed, the fertilizer, the pump, and additional monies.
Wells reiterated his frustration with the farmers responsible for the video that ultimately went viral. He says he'll let the public judge the facts, which he says are on his side. Reporting for our news, I'm Jared Higgs.
Still to come on our news, the Prime Minister talks home ownership. The details are after this break.